Hi, Tuesday's Rebels here talking about travel and inspiration and all that jazz.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Amy and I decided that we would talk about travel and places we'd like to go to be inspired or that we have been to be inspired. And we're each going to, I guess, give you our top 5. My first place is Salem, Massachusetts, which I know people say is the most haunted city in America, and I'm here to tell you it is true. When you step into town, the whole feel of the history and the things that happened there just strike you immediately. And it really is a place of ghosts and spirits, whether you believe in the reality of ghosts and spirits or it's just the sense of being struck by everything around you and marveling at the history and the horror of the things that have happened in that place, and a town being still so aware of those roots. Salem was just incredibly inspiring to me. When I did my book Fangtabulous, which was my 4th vamped book, I just knew I wanted to set it there. I knew I wanted to have something involving the witch trials, but I didn't really have a plot in mind. However, I did have a friend in Salem and a native guide, so to speak, and he took me around to places and talked to me a lot about the history, and I went on ghost tours and I bought books and was so inspired by signs and what I'd read and the people I talked to and the things that I found out about the town that a plot was born in my head, kind of fully formed.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so Lucienne's given you one of her top 5 places, so I'm going to give you one of mine. I'm actually going to mix my 5 up a little bit because I have not traveled nearly as much as Lucienne has. So I'm going to give you 3 places that I would like to go and then 2 places I've actually been. So my first place that I would like to go, and I'm actually going to go in about 3 weeks, is Louisville, Kentucky. The reason is because there is one of the world's most haunted sanatoriums there, Waverly Hills, and also a bridge called the Poplick Bridge that is part of the research I'm doing for a book that I hope to write sometime later this year. So it's high on my list. It's sort of an isolated area, and both places are sort of creepy and have some legends surrounding them that I would like to check out. So that's my first of my top 5.
Greece. Oh my God, Greece. My Latter-day Olympian series, my heroine is Greek and her family are circus folk and harken back to the old country. And of course it involves a lot of mythology in modern day. And I knew book 3, I wanted to go to Greece. I needed them to have a Destination Delphi wedding. So of course I had to go to Greece. I had to see and smell and feel these things for myself. And it was so amazingly inspiring that the beginning of book 4 takes place in a part of Greece that I'd also traveled to that didn't make it into book 3 because there was just too much. It was too amazing.
Okay, so the second place I would love to go to is Scotland because, hello, birthplace of Harry Potter. Who wouldn't want to go there? I'm a huge fan of the book series and J.K. Rowling in general. She was a huge inspiration for me as a mom and an aspiring writer. So I would love to go there for those 2 reasons, and just because the surrounding landscape of Scotland is so green and sort of magical, and I'd love to visit the Isle of Skye and, Melrose Abbey and the Loch Ness and some of those places because I feel like I could get a lot of inspiration for my writing there.
LA, Los Angeles, the city of angels, the city of devils. I don't know. It is such an amazing, lively city, and that is where the Latter-day Olympian series starts off. And I knew it was going to have to be because I knew it was going to have to involve Hollywood and stars and a Hollywood agent who is really possibly Circe, the enchantress of old. And I had never been there before, so I had to go. And a friend and author of mine, Jasmine Haynes / Jennifer Scully / wonderful, amazing writer, came with me and we took in the sights. And again, I had a native guide, which I think can be really important. And if you don't have a native guide, then it is a good thing to just talk to people. Don't be a tourist. Don't stand off. Talk to people in the coffee shop or in the restaurant or in the post office or anywhere, and really get a feel for the place and the people. But anyway, I had a native guide, a friend of mine named Mark Vignello, who does production design. He does latex and makeup for pictures out there, has been involved in a lot of great pictures, and he took us to production design houses where he'd worked and where he knew people, and we got to see movie magic and movie monsters being made, and all of that was really inspiring and really unique. And sometimes your research does lead you to these amazing experiences that you would not have otherwise.
My final place that I would like to visit, my third, that I have not gone to is Paris, France. I've wanted to go there ever since I was a small child. I can't imagine walking the same streets that Hemingway walked, going into Shakespeare and Company, and sort of just sitting in cafes and drinking in the atmosphere. To me, that place has to be incredibly inspirational for any writer, and I would love to go there.
A place that I have not yet used in a novel but am really dying to is Scotland, because the people in Scotland were so amazing. The place itself was, of course, gorgeous, and the fact that the Scots blew up their own castles to keep the English from being able to take them over is just an amazing little piece of history. And the ruins of the castles are so unbelievably gorgeous, including and especially Urquhart Castle, which is right on Loch Ness. And we had just some really special moments, but a lot of them involved the people. And I would love to be able to bring that and our experience there to life sometime. So look for Scotland in some future Lucienne Diver novel.
Now, as for places that I've already been that have been inspirational, the top one has to be Germany. I went there with my husband when we were newly married, and we traveled the romantic road. And one of the places we stopped was Rheinfels Castle. And I have sort of a weird story of what happened to us there. It was February, it was really cold, and there weren't a whole lot of tourists around, so we went to Rheinfels Castle, and we were basically one of the only people there touring the castle at the time. And you could go underground, underneath the castle, to these tunnels that they used to use when they were defending the castle during a battle, and soldiers would walk through these tunnels and then pop up on the other side of the castle to sort of fight the soldiers that were trying to invade. And you would go down into these tunnels with like a candle. And so we were walking through the tunnels, and it was just he and I, and they're really narrow, and it's sort of, spooky anyway. And at some point, our candle went out, and it was pitch dark. And so we were under this castle in the dark, like at a crossroads where the tunnels sort of separated in 4 different directions. And I just remember thinking, no one knows we're down here, and if something were to happen to us, who would actually find us and how long would it take them? So that place was sort of a huge inspirational place for me. I haven't written a story about it yet, but I'm toying with some ideas that sort of are inspired by that time.
Finally, I grew up in New York, and there is so much about New York that is amazing. Not just the city, outside of New York, there is so much to be inspired by as well. I've used where I grew up, Wappingers Falls, in one of my vamped novels. I've also used New York City in a novel that has not yet seen the light of day. It's a middle grade novel, and I'll just say it might have something to do with something crawling out of the grates that you see and walk over all of the time in New York City. And that to me was very inspiring. So it's funny what you get inspired by. It's not always something big like the peaks of Delphi. Sometimes it's something little or something you just step right over in daily life, like the greats. Whenever you go, be present and observe things and talk to people and experience things and remember the smells and the feelings, like the fear of going up switchbacks to the top of Mount Parnassus. Just remember and take in every little thing. And I know I like to journal my trips. That way I can refer back to things later to recapture the feeling. I take a lot of pictures as well. Often I blog my trips, and that can be really wonderful for you to refer back to later.
All right, and my last inspirational place that I've actually been is New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I think it's sort of magical, and the atmosphere is like no other place I've been to in the United States. It's got so much history. It's got so many legends and myths and things surrounding it, and you have all of the magic of like the bayou and all of those things. So that's another place that I like to go if I'm thinking about writing a story, especially a spooky story, because I think New Orleans lends itself to that so well. All right, Rebels, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Bye.